the Sumerians can be credited with virtually every first in human civilization that we can think of, whether it's the use of the wheel, whether it's high-rise construction, whether it's the use of the brick, whether it's metallurgy, whether it's knowledge of chemistry, medicine we have covered, whether it's the concept of laws, the concept of courts, of justices, even of juries, the concept of a king, of a parliament, or an advisory council. Anything you can think of, any aspect of a high civilization, had its first in Sumer, going back, as I said, 6,000 years ago. Mathematics, the beginning of the first calendar. As a matter of fact, I don't necessarily mention it in the books, but in some articles, the concept of a calendar, of a year divided into 12 months, of a lunar month, of a solar year, not only goes back to Sumer, but one calendar still in use, and that's the Hebrew calendar, is exactly the Sumerian calendar, and the count of years in the Hebrew calendar goes back to the year 1 of the Sumerian calendar, so that is still in use today. So all these aspects of a high civilization began in Sumer, again suddenly, unexpectedly, out of nowhere.
I'm here now. I'm very, very excited to be here with Guido Hoogenboom.
Yes.
Hoogenboom.
Hoogenboom.
Hoogenboom. From Holland.
Yes.
And I almost said Hollywood
Yeah.
because of your shirt. Well, Holland and Hollywood sound alike. But he's also from Hollywood.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and Guido Hoogenboom has had an amazing life. And he's a teacher and a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And Guido, one of your main topics is the ET connection in Earth history, in human history.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Absolutely true.
Okay, that's a very, very interesting topic. It's my favorite TV show today is a show called Ancient Aliens.
I know about it.
You know the show, yes?
I know about it, yes.
And it also deals with this topic.
Yeah.
The ancient aliens have a lot to do with who we are today, don't they?
Absolutely, totally.
Okay. But it seems to me, Guido, that you, with your very special history and background, you were marked for something spiritual and for being a pioneer. For one thing, your name means God. What does your name mean?
My name Guido? Yeah, that is the interesting question. So if I know the Italian language because I studied at the Conservatory for Music as an opera singer. So I'm also an opera singer.
I know that.
And if you look at the verb guidare, guidare means to steer.
Yes.
And so if you look at the first thing about it, Guido means I steer. So
yes.
I steer.
Okay. Okay, so but it implies guidance, don't you think?
Yeah, and if you say Guido, then you say I steer.
Okay. Okay. But you have divine guidance, right? So
yes.
I mean, Guido is like, well, Guido is a visionary, and he gets messages, right? You get messages.
Yeah.
And guidance all the
Yeah,
time.
all the time.
So it's a very interesting name for you. It right away marks you for something special.
Yeah.
I think so. Guido Maria.
Yeah, Maria.
Because, well, do you want to Tom? Ask you to bring me one. What's the story of your name, Guido Maria?
Okay, that's very interesting. Okay, now, when I'm born on the 6th of June 1934.
You're one of 15 children, is that correct?
Excuse me?
One of 15
Yeah,
children.
out of 15, and I was the, let me see, the ninth. The ninth.
Okay.
And so when I was born, then there were 7 above me, but there were 8 above me.
Okay.
Because my sister, Agnes, she was 11 years old when my mother was pregnant of me, you know, but she had cancer on her left leg.
Your sister?
Yeah, my sister Agnes is her name. And so I've never seen her, but I know her very well because from the point of view of reincarnation, she is also my daughter. Has this been proven?
Oh, okay.
It has been proven, yes. And
She was your daughter in
yeah,
another life.
she is my daughter in this life, and she was my sister who died on the 13th of December in the year 33.
Okay.
Agnes.
Before you were born.
Yes. And
So
so
how is your name connected?
the name with her, my name,
How did you get the name Guido Maria?
Yeah, it's connected with her. You understand that?
Tell us.
So she died on the 30th of December, and I think it was somewhere in October of 33 when my parents went to Lourdes. You know Lourdes,
Of
south of
course.
France?
The famous Lord where people go for healing.
And it happens, I know.
I know it happens, yes.
It happens,
I know.
healings happen there.
Miracles happen, I know it.
Yeah, they happen. I know about it. And anyway, they went there, and then they wanted a miracle. So they went in the grotto, you know, and drank the water, and they wanted a miracle for my sister.
I know.
But it did not happen. But anyway, they found there a little booklet of the life of Guido de Fongalan, a French boy who died somewhere in the 19th century. If you Google for Guido de Fongalan, you will find him.
Who was he?
Guido, okay. Guido, I think he was of a noble family
Yes.
in the 18th or 19th century. I don't remember that exactly. And so my parents told me later on, you know, in life, my mother told me, we found this booklet about Guido de Fongalan, and he has been declared being in heaven by the Pope.
Yes.
Then in this time, you know, period.
Yes.
And so they said if they would have, if the new child would be a boy, then the name would be Guido.
Okay.
And if the child would be a new daughter, the name would be Maria.
Yes.
And that's why they called me Guido
But
Maria.
it's a powerful, beautiful name. And already it marks you for something special, if you ask me. So you were one of 15 children.
Yes.
And the Nazis came.
Oh yeah.
How were those years for you and your family?
Those years were awful for anyone. And
you helped a Jewish man who
yeah,
was your butler for a
the
while.
Fritz, yes,
Fritz.
yes.
So you were in the resistance in that way, yes?
Yes, my parents were, yeah. But
Yes.
because I was 6.
Yes, I understand.
But you know, I tried to fool the Germans too.
I know. You set something afire with your friends. Right?
Yes, you read that.
Yeah.
The whole thing
What was it?
exploded.
A big gasoline.
Oh, there was
right?
a big gasoline a warehouse or something. You know, it was all open in the air, and I think I was 9 years old.
Yes.
I did not know what kind of danger I was causing for my parents and my family.
Of course.
It was a stupid act.
Yes, it was.
It was a really stupid
But
act.
very courageous and very good-willed. So what happened to your butler?
Oh, the butler, yes. Good question. So the butler, Fritz is his name, you know, he acted like a butler. And so he had the costume of a butler, just to pretend, you know, and that he was safe in our house.
Yes.
See? And he was safe in our house. If we would have stayed, he would have lived. But I think after one month or 2 months, I don't remember totally, he left. He went to the north of France, to Le Havre. Le Havre,
Yes.
that's on the west coast, you know,
Yes.
France. He wanted to escape to England.
Yes.
But there the Germans found him and they killed him.
Oh well. Oh well.
Yeah.
But I admire so much what you and your family did for this poor man.
Yeah, they did.
Something
Yeah, they did.
very great. So, at the age of 10, you were hit by lightning. Is that right?
Yeah, that was just before the war ended.
Okay.
It was in March, and so it was that morning. There was lightning, and you know it was very bad weather, hailing, and so on and so on. I left the church at 8 o'clock in the morning because
You had just gone to mass, right? You had gone to
yeah,
mass.
yeah, I was in my mass. So I've been educated in the Catholic belief.
Yes. So you left the church after you received mass. When you received,
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
emergency weather, you know,
Yes.
emergency. I was all by myself,
And it was hailing.
hailing, and
Yeah.
so then I had to run home because of this on my wooden shoes.
Yes.
On my wooden shoes, so I ran home as fast as I could along the river Min.
Yes.
You know, Min has a plus.
A what?
Minus has a plus.
Okay.
Plus and minus, that's we have light here, you know.
Okay.
Female, male.
Everything is yin and yang.
Yeah, excellent.
That's the
exactly.
Tao.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was running under the chestnut trees
Yes.
on my wooden shoes, and they helped me to survive, I suppose.
Yes.
And then almost I came home, and I had to cross the Rembrandt Square. You know, the great painter.
Yes, of course.
I crossed, and then
Of course.
was in the center of the square. Then all of a sudden I was not fast enough because the lightning was faster than I was. So I can run very quickly,
Yes.
very fast. But then I was struck by the lightning, out, totally out.
Wow.
And then I came back again after a while. I don't know how long. You know, people did not go out in the streets in those days because they were afraid of the Germans, you know.
Yes, yes.
The people stayed at home.
Yes.
And so then I was there laying in my own urine and everything, totally
Yes.
paralyzed.
Yes.
I couldn't do anything anymore.
Yes, yes.
And then I felt in my wooden shoe that my big toe could move a little bit. I thought, oh,
Okay.
something happening. Then I could move my whole feet,
Yes.
and then the other feet, and then I could sit on my knees, and then I crawled to the sidewalk,
Yes.
and there was this lantern pole. So I put my body up, you know, because my legs didn't carry me, and then I could make 2 steps to a publishing company, to the house of a publishing company. And so
Okay.
there I was hanging on the doorknob.
Wow.
You see? And because my legs, when I would let go, I would fall. But I was hanging there for a while, and then I could do another step along the window sills, you know, and I finally came home. And I said, my mother said, "What happened to you?" I said, "I have been struck by lightning." Then I started to cry.
Wow.
And you know now, interesting detail concerning this publishing company is that is called De Haan. De Haan. Haan means rooster.
Okay.
Rooster in English. And so I think 12 years ago, I found a book by Don Mowat. He's from New York.
Okay.
And he works for Nova.
Nova?
Yeah.
I know the great science documentary Nova.
Nova,
Yeah, I watched
PBS.
quite a few of those. Yeah.
Yes, so I wanted to do a show with him, a music as a bridge.
Yes.
according to what I found in my classes and so on, you know, in '79.
Yes.
And so, and this book was published by the Haan, the publishing company, where I was hanging on the doorknob.
What book was published?
Huh? They publish all kind of books, and also
What book was published?
a book by Don Moet about his show Nova.
Okay.
See, so then I have seen many of those shows in Hollywood. Then I thought, hey, he's the guy. I want to work with him to make a show for Nova concerning music as a bridge, travel in space and time by music, you know, and
Yes.
so on as well.
That's a very interesting subject.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out, did it? Did you-
No, so then no, not yet. But it doesn't.
Okay.
The things come and go, and they come and they
That's
don't
right.
come, and they don't go and they go, and so then I called this publishing company because I needed the address and the phone number of Don Moet.
Okay.
So then
The producer,
I had
yes.
the director on the phone, you know, of this company, and so I explained to him why I called him. Can you give me the phone number of Don Moet because I want to do a show with him and so on.
Yes.
And then so he gave me all the information,
Yes.
and then I said, you were not director of the Haan publishing company in '45. He said, no. Why do you ask me that? Then I said, then in March '45, I was hanging on your doorknob,
Wow.
and because I was just struck by lightning. So he thought this is an interesting story. I think my book should be published with them.
So do I. I started some of the episodes from your book are on your website.
Yeah.
Okay? And I read those. I read it yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay? So I think it should be published by them,
With them.
or at least by somebody, because it's an amazing story.
Yeah.
What I've read so far is quite amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so if people want to look at your website,
Yeah.
it's the word innovation,
Yeah.
with two N's, of course, with an L in front of it,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
that's www.linnovation.net.
.net. Yeah, but it's going to change because in August, so I just started a small movie company, you know, myself.
Okay.
And then the new name of it, I'll send you the information.
All right, tell us.
I will send you, but the new name will be Living Room Television.
Living room television.
Living Room Television.
Okay, I like that. That's very.
Yeah, you know,
It's very
because
homey.
the whole universe is a living room.
Yes, I like it a
The-
lot. You know, I like it a lot.
It's a nice name, isn't it?
Right, it's very nice.
Yeah, and so I think we protected already the name. You know,
Okay.
my friends in the Netherlands,
Okay.
and then when the whole book is finished, it will be published hopefully in the Netherlands with the publishing company De Haan.
I hope so.
Yeah.
They should. Okay, listen. People who are struck by lightning,
Yeah.
studies have shown that their brains work differently. Is that-
Absolutely.
tell me about that. Tell us.
Okay,
about
I will tell you, this is really mind-boggling, you know.
it. Okay.
Not because it happened to me, no, because it happened. And, okay, now what happened? In '79, it's all connected, you know, the whole thing is all connected. In '79, on the 23rd of October, it was a Tuesday, I have a photographic memory. Then I did my experiment in my school with music. So, and
Tell us about this experiment. It was a wonderful experiment,
Yeah.
in my opinion, that you did with some of your students.
yeah,
right?
7 classes.
What?
7 classes.
7 classes. How old were your students?
Yeah, and they were in between 12 and 14.
Okay. And what was your idea? What's the idea behind the experiment?
Okay, I was reading Gurdjieff. You know about Gurdjieff?
Yes, I do know about
Yeah, I was reading
Gurdjieff.
Gurdjieff
Yeah.
and about experiments with music in India.
Yes.
Then I thought, oh, that's very interesting. I should try to do this in my classes. So I talked it all over with my director and the sub-director, and they said, yeah, that might be a good plan, you know,
Yes.
to do this,
To do what?
to work with music in a way that children would listen to it from a state of total release.
Of total relaxation.
Total relaxation, total release.
Okay.
And so they said, yes, that's a good idea. So I had some experience with the Eagles and their music, The Journey of the Sorcerer. Maybe you know it.
I know the Eagles.
Yeah, one of
Yeah.
these nights, I think it's on there, you know, on the record.
Okay.
Well, that's magical music.
Yeah, the
To-
Eagles are one of the great American historical bands. Yes.
Yes, magical music. So I worked with this in shows with children, you know,
Yes.
in theatrical theater of the school. Then I thought I should use this music. Okay, what did I do? A preparation of 3 weeks. First, I taught the children how to relax the way I had been taught at the Conservatory of Music.
Okay.
I used the autogenic training, and that's a very efficient method to help people to go to total relaxation, you know.
Okay.
And they liked that really very much, to be so relaxed.
Of course, it's important.
To be so relaxed.
It's a skill for life, a very
Yeah,
important one. Yes.
Absolutely. And so this has been invented by a psychiatrist from Berlin, Mr. Schulz,
Okay.
before the Second World War.
Okay.
It's very famous. So I used that, and then in the second lesson, I took the music by the Eagles. I let them listen to it from a normal state of consciousness, and I asked all those children, I think about 100 or so in 7 classes. I told them, this is someone's journey. Someone's journey. Whose journey is this? I asked the children. And some children said, oh, the journey of the sea, the journey of blah, 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 blah. And one child of the 100 said, this is the journey of the sorcerer, the magician, you know?
Yes.
Magician. And then I thought, at least one child knew what kind of journey this was. And then I wondered, now they listen to this music and they made associations with it from normal state of consciousness, you know?
For normal state.
Yeah, from the daily state of consciousness, like
Yes.
we are in right now.
Yes.
They got the material into their brain
Yes.
from the normal state, and then I wondered if they go and listen to it from the state, let's say in the alpha state, between 8 and 12,
Yes.
you know, hertz. So that's when you dream in the sleep. Then that's between 8 and 12 hertz, okay? Alpha.
But you don't have to be in a you don't have to be asleep to get to alpha. Isn't
No,
that correct?
no. They didn't sleep.
They didn't sleep.
No, they were really relaxed, laying on the floor,
Okay.
sitting in the chair. So then on that day, I had a promise from the sub-director that she would be with me for all the 7 lessons.
Yes.
Because I knew I was getting into something which could go in a way I could not imagine. See?
Yes.
I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yes.
Because I'm not an expert on this.
Yes.
And anyway, so then the day that this was going to happen, 23rd of October, 79, then the sub-director was not there. She was ill.
Okay.
And then I had a problem. And I said to the children, I will not do this.
Yes.
Because I need someone here
Yes.
to be with us. And then they said, no, you promised that we would do this. And so then I thought, okay, then let's do it.
All right.
And let's do it. And let me give one example. One example of the dreams, the waking dreams they had,
Yes.
you know, is one child said she had won a prize of a lottery, you know, a kind of prize. And the first prize was to go to New York and be and attend a show by the Jackson 5.
Okay.
79, you know, Jackson 5.
Yes.
So, and she was invited by the Jackson 5.
In her waking dream.
In her waking dream. And she was in the concert. And she told about it.
Yeah.
She was totally excited. Can you
Yes.
imagine?
It
Totally
sounds
excited.
pretty wonderful.
So
yeah.
she traveled in space and time
Yes.
by music.
Yes.
And that's what she did. Anyway, so she told all this, and now I make a little jump, if you allow me, because in '93, so I lost my job, 2 days after the 23rd,
You have
25th, I lost my job,
You
and
have
so
to
on,
tell us why,
because of
then.
being accused of spiritism, hypnotism, which did not happen. So anyway, my whole life collapsed because
Okay.
of this, and then
Because of this experiment.
yeah.
But no children suffered bad effects from this.
No, I got help from analytical psychologists because they came to the school and they were talking to one class. There was only one class whose parents were a little bit worried.
Yes.
One class. And so the psychologist, and one of them became my good friend,
Yeah.
Leo Pannekoek, and anyway, and they both talked with those parents just a couple of days after this all happened, and they said, what happened to your children was very good, because it helped them, for children who had a scary experience, to just get away with psychological rubbish. You understand?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
So there were 1 or 2 children of this one class who had a scary dream,
Okay.
which you can have, when you are dreaming in the night. I had many scary dreams, especially as a child.
Right.
And so then this Leo said to those parents, he said, okay, if your child wakes up in the morning and she tells her your dream, being a parent, and it was a scary dream, then you give the opportunity to the child to tell the dream, and then you say, okay, now you go to school. You see, and let it go. So he said it's the same thing. But there is a tribe in India, the Senoi, there are, in this tribe, there are no psychological illnesses. You know why?
Why?
Why Senoi? Because they give their children, before they go to school or do whatever they do, they ask them, what did you dream about? What's your dream?
How nice.
Tell me. And so if it was a scary dream, by telling your dreams, also if they're scary, you let them go.
It's perfectly logical.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
Let them go.
So these parents didn't do that.
So there were only 3 parents of that one class who said he needs to be fired.
Yes.
If I make jumps and you don't like it, then you have to tell me, because
I will. Don't you worry.
yeah, you have to tell me.
You're doing
So
great.
now
You're doing great.
they told me, those parents told me, or the director of the school told me, that the parents had told them that a professor in parapsychology in the Netherlands, a very famous professor, Ten Haaf is his name, that they went to this professor, those worried parents, and they said that according to the professor, that they told them that I made a big mistake by doing this experiment.
He said
So, that the professor had told them, and this was the main thing, because that I was fired, because what the professor said. Now comes the real story. This was a lie, I didn't know. I was very much insulted by the professor that he talked with those parents, 3 parents, and he didn't call me and ask me what happened, Guido.
Yes.
So then, you know what? When I was fired, and then I got the help of many people who understood what was happening with me. I needed help. I went in. This professor died, soon after he said this. And then in March 1980, I went to this institution where he was a director, but he wasn't there anymore.
Yes.
So there was another another professor there who was the director of this faculty of the University of Parapsychology, and his name is Van Praag. And so I was sitting there in his room at the university, and so he said, Guido, I talked with the parents. I went and talked with everyone, with the children. He said, you didn't do anything wrong. Anything wrong. And he said, you have to believe it or not, you are a medium. So, because you are a medium, those things can happen. That's what he told to me. Yeah. And then he said, I'm going to help you get your job back. So then he wrote a letter to the Minister of Education in my country.
Yes.
And I still have that letter because it's a very important document.
And he's the director of this institute.
Yes, yes, of that faculty, you know, part of the university in Utrecht.
Okay.
The city where, and my one of my the second eldest brother, he was there also professor in physics. Anyway, so he defended me. He said to the Minister of Education, you have to give him his job back. He didn't do anything wrong. Okay, now I make a little jump. I go to the year 1996. Right. 7 years after this all happened. The number 7 comes in my life everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere.
So what happens in the 96?
Okay, so I started from the, in 82, I had written an article, Music as a Bridge to Another Reality, about this whole thing, you know. And then I've been on radio and so on and so on and so on, and made 3 radio shows on the topic, you know, and then I was a guest in paranormal programs now and then, and then in '86 I was invited to come to Rotterdam because the whole night they had they had a very long show where they invited all kind of mediums and me too. And then at a certain point...
You had a long show?
In a long show about paranormal events.
On TV, on radio?
On radio. And so then they invited me too, because they know me too from that station, you know. And so I liked that, so I was there. And then I was sitting at a big table, then I was not being interviewed yet. And then there were 3 gentlemen sitting there. And they said, yes, we don't know you, who are you? And I said, my name is Guido Hoogenboom, we know you. I said, how can you know me? I never met you. Those were 3 major paranormal people, you know, major. Okay. Very well known.
Okay.
Being in many shows and so on. And you know what they told me?
What?
They said, we know you from Professor Ten Haaf. Professor Ten Haaf, who had said to the parents that I had made a big mistake by doing this experiment. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. And so then they said to me, we have been involved in your case because the professor in January of 1980. December, you know, in 79, the professor involved those 3 paranormal mediums, and they had to research if I had done anything wrong.
Okay.
And that conclusion was to the professor, I did everything totally right.
Yes. Okay.
You know, now to finish this little part of the story,
yes.
I still intend, with the help of the latest professor of this institute,
yes.
Mr. Gerding, he knows about me, I want him to help me to go to the Minister of Education that my name will be rehabilitated.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Well,
rehabilitation, you know, I want
not?
that.
But whether it is or it isn't, you have nothing to be ashamed of.
No, of course not.
So what does it matter?
Yeah.
You know, you are trying to do a good thing, and you did.
Yeah.
You helped these young people open up.
Yeah, the faculties, the spiritual faculties.
Yes.
And that's so. But I don't really need this rehabilitation, but I want the attention of the Minister of Education for this for music association form, because my method is called music association form. Go with music and sound to certain associations and let those associations be translated in forms. You see, in art, you see what I mean?
I think so.
So if you look at the movies by Bergman, the Ingmar Bergman, he got all of his ideas for his movies from his dreams.
Yes. Oh, many great masters, yes.
Yeah.
So, there's something very, very big here. The Music Association and what it could open up in our lives.
Yeah.
There's something huge here.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, but wait a second. About the topic of how lightning can change a person's brain. Being hit by lightning.
Yeah.
Tell me, what does lightning do?
Okay, I will you. Why I know that my brains function differently than from people who have not been struck by lightning. Then I have to go back to 79. I have to jump in time, because then when I lost my job, paranormal things started to happen in my house. I'm not going to talk about that right now because but you want to know about the brain change.
Yes.
The change of brain,
Yes.
And then was the beginning of November 79. I went to a show in the theater, in the city theater.
Yes.
In my town. I lived very close to that. I was friends with the director, because we were living in the same street. And so this show was called Lucifer.
Yes.
Lucifer. And has been written by a very famous playwright, Vondel. It was somewhere in the 17th century. I don't exactly remember when. And so there's a beautiful show about the war in heaven. You see? The war in heaven.
Yes.
And so then you saw those actors on trapezes, on the things, but they were wearing wireless microphones. This was absolutely new.
Yes.
In 79.
Of course.
It was totally new. I did not know about this, And then all of a sudden, you could hear those actors from the stage, and the sound came from the amplifiers,
Yes.
from the speakers, and right from the beginning. So I was sitting on the 6th row at the back of the theater,
yes.
and behind me there was a whole battery of all kind of electronic equipment to make this all possible.
Yes.
Totally new to me. And right when the curtains opened, I got a very high-pitched tone in my right ear.
Yes.
Yeah, I think maybe it's in my book.
And also you write in your book about a woman, in another performance, a woman is connected to a lung-heart machine.
Yeah, that's in the same thing.
The same thing.
Then yes, okay, you read very well. And anyway, so then I had this sound with the beat of the heart. Bum, bum, bum.
Okay.
Well, it was like a heart machine,
Yes, okay.
But I didn't realize that. And very high tone pitched. And then was in the intermission. I couldn't hear anything from what happened on the stage. So I went to the director, my friend, and I said, Paul, you have to give me back my money, because this is not going to work for me. He said, Guido, you're the only one who has complaints. You know what? I will give you the best seat on the house. So he put me right in front of the stage.
Another day.
No, the same day.
Same day,
No,
okay.
it is about that woman, you know,
Ah, the
the
woman,
heart
okay.
lung machine. No, the same day. Okay, now, then I was sitting there and started all over. And the same thing happening here. Very high pitched tone in my right ear. Beautiful tone, you know, very beautiful.
Yes.
And then after the show, I hadn't understood anything of it. I went to Paul, please give me my money back because this is not for me. No one complained, only me.
Yes.
And then he said, no, I will not do that. I said, Paul, why not? He said, okay. He says, I think why this happened to you. You were listening to the heart of that lady. There was a lady there
Yes.
connected with a heart-lung machine, and somehow in the radiographic field of energy,
Yes.
her heartbeat ended up there, you know, and so you were listening to her heart.
And microphones, and the wireless microphones also.
Yeah, yes, you know,
Yes.
it had to do with this field of energy there,
Yes,
you know,
yes, yes.
this radio field. They call this ether also, right? Yeah. And anyway, so he said, that's what my explanation is. You know, I will give you 2 very expensive tickets for you and your wife to come tomorrow. And this woman, he told me, is already for 25 years on a heart-lung machine in the hospital. And you know what I would like to ask you, Paul said, go and see her. Go and see her. And then I thought,
Why did he think you should go see her?
because he sensed something.
Okay.
So I'm a healer.
Did he know that you were a healer?
No, he didn't know.
But he felt like somehow there was a
Because it
connection.
was not clear yet, you know. I didn't
It
know.
wasn't clear to you that you were
To
a
me,
healer.
it was not. Maybe he sensed something.
Okay.
But-
And maybe he intuited that you and this woman had something together.
Yes,
Because she was
yes,
there and you were picking up on her machine.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So then he gave me her address in the academic hospital, and he said, please go and see her, because she is the wife of my friend, a doctor, who was married with her, and he gave me the phone number of the doctor. Okay, and so I called this doctor, his friend, who was married to this woman, okay? And so I had him on the phone. I explained to him, yes, I have a strange story. Maybe I was listening to the heart of your wife, she being connected to a heart-lung machine. That's a strange story.
It is very strange.
It's a very strange story.
Yeah.
And now I know that it's absolutely true. This is what happened. But then I had needed to find out. So he said to me, okay, after he listened to me, he said, you will never see my wife. And he put down the phone. That was very rude.
Yeah, okay.
At least he could have talked with me, you know, he could have met
No,
me.
it was rude. It was rude. But this is a man who's been injured by life, I suppose.
Yeah.
With a wife in this situation.
And then what happened, to come to the conclusion of this little story, so then in the evening, I went to the show, and my wife, she didn't want to come with me because she wanted only one thing, to divorce. And so I was sitting in the show, first row, no problems at all, because she was not there.
But
And
what
then,
about the wireless microphones?
but it was still there, but the woman was not there.
Okay, so the problem was the woman,
It had to do with the woman.
not with the wireless microphones.
Yes, you know, not so much with the wireless microphones. It had to do with the radio field there.
Okay.
And because of the radio field, her machine went into this field of energy.
Yes, okay, got it.
That's why, you see?
Okay, I understand.
She wasn't there. And that's what my friend Paul told me. It had to do with this woman. You see? Logical? Yeah?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
now we go to the year 2000. Yeah, the year 2000. Yes, the year 2000. The year that I made this show I have with me here. And you get a copy, you know, the show with Sichin.
Ah,
I'm going there.
what?
I'm going to this part of the story.
Wait, but first I want to say something
Yeah,
about being struck by lightning.
yeah,
Okay? Now, in cultures around the world,
yeah,
and also in the Western culture, being struck by lightning, it's considered a sign of many things. It may be all cultures of being struck by, of being chosen by God for
Yeah.
something.
yes,
Whether it's, and traditionally, if a person lives, which is quite not that common, if a person lives, it's considered a sign of a gift, of something
something, yes,
something special, a gift from God.
yeah,
So when we say, oh wow, I was struck by lightning, that phrase means a great idea has come to me. Something good has come to me.
yeah,
And maybe it was the lightning that you have amazing stories of healing
yeah,
and of being a medium. And maybe God chose you. I'm sure of it. I'm sure that the lightning was a sign
yeah,
of spirits choosing you for something.
yeah.
And you've been doing a very big work. So, okay, what did you want to say?
Yes, oh yeah, I know. The year 2000. Because then some light was thrown on what happened in 79. That's what happens in my life all the time. Then I go, oh, what had to do with that? Oh, that thing. So I see the connection, you know.
What happened?
Okay,
What
then in
happened?
2000. Then in 98, my friend Suzanne Doucet in Hollywood, she's a very famous musician, and she's known all over the world with her music. And we cooperate for a quarter of a century now. She said to me in 98, Guido, do you want to know about what really explains to you what flying saucers is about? I said, yes, please, tell me. What should I study? She said, here is a book, The 12th Planet.
A very famous book.
A very famous book.
Yes.
And she had, you have read the book, I suppose.
Well, frankly, I've seen Sitchin interviews, Zachariah Sitchin. I've seen him interviewed several times.
Yeah.
I have the book. I lent it out. I don't know if I have it back. I didn't actually read the book, but I have a good understanding of what it describes.
About what he says.
What?
About what he says.
Yes, about the Anunnaki and Nibiru.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were recommended to read the book. And
Yeah.
what happens?
So I started to read the book, and I thought, this is so scientific, and it's so difficult for me because I don't have a scientific mind. I grew up in a family where about all of them have scientific mind, but I don't have that. So
You
I
have
started.
something else. You've been hit by lightning.
Yes. So I have my tuition. So I started to read the book, and then when I was in the Netherlands in March 2000, 2 years later, a friend told me Professor Sitchin will be in a UFO Congress here in the Netherlands. So I thought, so I'm reading his books. So his book, the first book and other books, I said, I'm going to interview him. And so then I called the organization, you know, of the conference, and said, can I interview them and also the other two guests, you know. They said yes.
Who are the other two?
Stanton Friedman.
A very famous
physicist
who worked for NASA many
Yeah,
years.
12 years.
12 years. he
12
worked for
years.
NASA. Oh, that could have been a very interesting.
You know,
conversation.
this was one of the most interesting days of my life.
All right.
To talk with three people like Stanton, Zachariah, and my friend Jaime from Mexico City, Jaime Mozan.
All right.
And he is an expert on the whole phenomenon of UFO and so on. And in Mexico, everyone has seen UFOs. All the people.
Yes, and not
They
only,
all have seen them.
there are places like Peru, certain areas of Peru,
All of
where
them.
it's just well known.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'd love to ask you actually about Stanton Friedman.
Yeah.
Is that his name, Stanton Friedman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
From what I understand, I'm just gonna ask, and then we'll get back to your meeting. From what I understand about NASA, there's a big division between those who are allowed to know what really goes on,
Yeah.
and a lot of people, great scientists, who aren't allowed to know, who are not.
Yeah.
Who are not told what really goes on with NASA.
Yeah.
I've heard that that the American government has ET connection for many years.
Yeah.
And that a lot of that we have projects, joint ET United States projects, and a lot of our technology was given by the by the ETs.
Yeah.
Like I believe, by the way, the Nazis had ET technology as well. But that's another story. Did Stanton Friedman know anything about this kind of about what's super classified stuff that most people in NASA? Did he talk about American ET connection?
Yes.
He did.
He did. Yes.
About a cover-up. In other
I
words.
think he mentions it also in my program. He mentions it. He is well informed.
Okay.
He is well informed.
You know, they asked Werner von Braun. Okay, Werner von Braun.
Werner von Braun, yes.
All right, the great Nazi genius rocket scientist.
Yes.
Okay, who later became the head of the top scientist at NASA.
Yeah.
The Americans, he could have been tried as a war criminal.
Yeah.
Because the facilities that were under his direction.
Yes.
In Nazi war criminal.
Yeah.
In Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Were terrible facilities that used slave labor, and a lot of people died. But he was never punished. Instead,
No.
the Americans brought him over and wanted his ability, which was great.
Yeah.
So they asked Werner von Braun why the Nazi technology was so far ahead of the Allied technology.
Yeah.
Because they were way ahead. They had jet airplanes. They had the V-2 bomber and the V-1. They had super technology, the Nazis, and they had television. They came up with a. They were, people say that they were 25 years ahead of the West in certain aspects of technology.
Yeah.
So they asked Werner von Braun, how is it you were so far ahead in things like rocket technology and other things? And Werner von Braun said, well, we had help. Okay? That's a quote. They had help. In other words, what he meant is they had extraterrestrial help. So Stanton Friedman said that NASA was working with ETs. He said that.
Not literally, but he mentioned something about it. But what is maybe more important is that Xi is telling in my show, I think he's telling in my show, that he has been invited many times or several times by NASA to give information about star maps of the Sumerian clay tablets.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know about two shamans. They were in my house, Julio, and they were both from Guatemala, and Julio and his friend, I don't remember right now, and they visited the Netherlands, have been on television and so on and so on. They have been invited to by NASA because of all the astronomy knowledge from the far past, you know, also, of course, from the Anunnaki and the Nephilim.
Yes.
Same
Well,
thing.
it says a lot that NASA wants their information, that NASA wanted Zecharia Sitchin's information. It means they know something.
Yeah,
It means they know something
yeah,
that they don't tell us about.
yeah.
Okay, so Stanton Friedman, he didn't talk about, not in any kind of clear way, about American ET cooperation.
No, not, but you know, this happened in 2000, which is 14 years ago, but you know about Paul Hellyer.
Oh, no, I don't. Who is that?
Paul Hellyer, you can look it up, and I don't have the show with me, or maybe I have something, I don't know, in my computer, but Paul Hellyer was a former minister of defense in Canada.
Oh,
And-
maybe I do know. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was on the at the 31st of December for Canadian television, and he said, so everyone can know this, that he says that from his knowledge, there are about 100 kinds of aliens, from what he knows.
Oh, wow.
100 kinds of aliens, and 4 kinds come to the planet, this planet, regularly, and of those 4 kinds, the United States government has connections, good connections, with one of the 4. He's telling that
Well,
through public television.
If the former Canadian Defense Minister
Yeah.
says this, then it must be well known by other governments as
Yeah,
well.
Of course,
There is a mass cover-up, is there not?
mass cover-up.
A mass cover-up. We've been lied to, and we're still being lied to.
Yeah,
And it's very much of a shame. Okay.
but you know what the reason is.
What is the reason?
Okay, now I did twice now a program with my friend Koen Vermeeren. Koen Vermeeren is a professor in space technology at the University of Delft in the Netherlands,
Yes.
and I've interviewed him September last year and in January this year. He wrote a book, UFOs Absolutely Exist.
Yes.
Absolutely exist. And he spoke with many people I've seen too. One of them is Edgar Mitchell.
Edgar Mitchell, the former astronaut who was on the moon.
Yeah, I met him too
Okay.
in LA.
Yes.
This was a pleasure to
I'm
meet
sure
with
it was a
him.
pleasure.
Yeah, he's over 80 now. And so when Koen's book came out last year, then Edgar Mitchell, he was through Skype, you know, visual, he has presented Koen Vermeeren's book, okay? And so Koen's book, I wanted to be read in English,
Yes.
in the USA and everywhere. So I help him to get it all done. And now
Get it translated?
to get it, yeah, already, not by me, but other people.
And Edgar Mitchell, he wrote the introduction?
And no, he spoke he presented the book when it was presented to the press and everything. So
Well, Edgar Mitchell talks about ETs, doesn't
yeah,
he? Yes.
you know, the close-up, the disclosure.
Well, disclosure is what we want.
Yeah.
But why are they lying to us, Guido?
Koen answers this question, and he says, which makes sense and which makes no sense. Sometimes, you know. He says that the people who prevent this from coming out, you know, out and out and out,
Yes, who prevents
they
it?
think that this will be such a big shock and will do tremble religion, politics, science, and so on. Because when we are confronted with a kind of science, we have absolutely this on conversation here. Maybe they listen to it at the planet Nibiru.
Yes.
They have technology.
Nibiru is the 12th planet, is it not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is the 10th planet,
The 10th
but the
planet.
book is called the 12th planet.
Yes.
You know, from a certain point of view, it is the 12th planet, but from the point of view where it is in the hierarchy of the planets in this solar system, it is the 10th planet.
The Sumerians called it Nibiru, is that right?
Yes.
The ancient Sumerians.
Yeah.
And they knew about every planet in our solar system, including Pluto, and they depicted all of the planets, including Neptune and Uranus and Pluto. They knew about them and depicted it in their tablets, in their writings. And they said there was one more planet that comes and goes.
Yes.
Because it has a huge orbit between the star Sirius and our star, this is what we call the sun.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
So,
and you can also read it in the Old Testament.
yes.
This. It's there.
Okay. I could ask you where. I don't know where. Where in the Old Testament?
Then I have to look it up.
All right, never mind.
But it is
So
there
this
too.
Sumerians,
It is there too.
These great experts who knew about these distant stars that they should have had no way of knowing according to our science.
Exactly, but that's what Sitchin says in his book.
What
So
does he
they
say?
had their
What does he
teachers.
say?